What's happening, party people? Welcome back to a new episode of Pasty-T Garage. Today we are going to be working on the 1997 Mazda Miata. And what we're going to be doing is replacing our hardtop brackets and hardware. And we are going to be replacing them with Jass Performance security hardtop brackets and hardware. This is obviously not all the hardware, but it comes with two different sizes. As you can see, they're the tamper-proof Torx that have a little dot in the middle. And the cool thing about this kit, so I guess let me go ahead and start off and say, this is one part number, and it's for the front. As you can see, they're labeled, I'm sorry, this is the rear left, rear right. And this is the front right, front left. And then the security hardware kit, which is all the hardware plus the tools that you need. They give you some pretty nice tamper-proof Torx that fit into any sort of 1/4-inch drive slot. That's separate. In order to get all the hardware that you need, if you want to replace everything with security bolts, you need 2 hardware kits. Each hardware kit comes with 4 of the larger bolts and 6 of the smaller bolts. Now, total for each side is 4 of the larger bolts, 6 of the smaller. So if you get one hardware kit, it's only going to be good for one side or the front or the back, something like that. So if you want to do all 4 corners with the security hardware, you're going to need 2 of these pieces, or 2 of these kits. Now, the reason we're replacing this is, as you can see, my driver's side front looks pretty beat up. It's got a whole bunch of, I don't even know what was going on there, a whole bunch of stuff there. This looks like it's all beat up right here. Honestly, when I was taking the hardtop off, I noticed that a lot of the bolts were stripped. I had to clean them up with a tap, and it just seemed like the hardware itself was in really shoddy condition. The brackets didn't seem like they were good. I don't even know if they're legit brackets. Apparently Jass Performance has problems with people copying their design and making really like crappy knockoffs. So what we're gonna do is just replace everything, brand new parts, brand new bolts, brand new everything, and we're gonna tighten the hardtop down. Now, in order for this to be easiest for you, probably helpful if you have a second person, so that way when you're tightening like the front down or you're tightening the rear down, you can kind of hold it in place so that it has the best seal possible. We're not going to do that. It's just me. So I'm going to basically just pull down while I tighten it up. I'm going to loosen everything at one time, and then we're going to go ahead and replace one set. So like the front right, then the front left, then the rear right, then the rear left. We're going to do it in order like that. That way I don't have to worry about realigning the holes. The other thing we're going to do is, once everything is reinstalled, all the new hardware, we'll tighten up each corner while we're pulling down to make sure that it's tight. And then we'll go ahead and check everything to make sure that nothing shifted really bad. And we will test drive it to make sure we don't have any sort of wind noises. The good thing about these brackets, and I hear from a lot of people that didn't have them, is that it really cuts down on wind noise. It really cuts down on like creaking and body roll and that kind of stuff, because you have a more secure fit of the hardtop to the car, more so than like your standard latches like you might have if you have an OEM top. This is not an OEM top, and so it just came with some sort of security brackets. Like I said, they look like Jass Performance, may not be, but we will have those on there now. So stay tuned. We're going to install these and we'll be going. One thing you might want that'll help is having your own set of tamper-proof Torx. Here's a set that I have that's just on a 1/4-inch, and then the T40, which is the larger side, is on the 3/8 ratchet. I also have this little mini ratchet that has a 1/4-inch drive that you can install either side on. And then another thing that you might want is just a 1/4-inch socket that you can basically put the nut driver in. So those are all things that we could use. We might be using a combination of all of them. If you have race seats like this, roll bars, it may be harder to get to these. So we will have to slide the seat forward and back in order to have good access to all of them. The front aren't so bad. You just basically move your sun visors out of the way and then you can replace them. So we're gonna go ahead and do the passenger side first while I'm sitting in the driver's side, and then we'll do the driver's side. So one thing on mine, because this was kind of hodgepodge together with a bunch of miscellaneous hardware, these are actually T27s. Now, the Jass Performance kit comes with T30s and T40s. So we're going to replace these with the T30 heads, but I'm having to use a T27 socket to remove that. So All our old bolts I'm going to put in the floorboard. That way we don't get them mixed up. Yeah, as you can see, I'm even missing one. So, the 240, like I said, you can use either a mini ratcheting like this, and this is really good for like tight fits. Really don't need it for like, you know, what I'm doing right now, but still works. I'm gonna go ahead and move that a little more out of the way. Or you have your own tamper-proof torque set. You can do that and remove the bolts by hand easier. Like so. Now, this guide can also be used if you are replacing latches with the security hardware. There might be a couple more steps. It looks like this trim was, or it looks like, yeah, this trim was trimmed a little bit. Obviously, this looks very beat up in here, but this would essentially be your striker, and this would be where your latch goes. So the latch would pull on the striker here so that it could seal. This is replacing all of that. So we're going to install our new part. Okay, and it says front right, but it actually gets oriented like this. So it's gonna sit on the car like that. We're gonna put it on with the new hardware loose. So I'm gonna install all 5 bolts on this side loose. And then, like I said, we're gonna tighten it all up together. But it already looks better. So here's a comparison. As you can tell, these look worn out. That has a hole in the middle. There's no hole here. I don't know if that's a new design. This has a little cutout. And then this piece that's kind of bent just looks more bent than that. So these may have been knockoffs. I don't know. Maybe there was a update and they changed the way that they cast these parts. So we have 3 new bolts. We're gonna try to line them up. I may use the leverage of the ratchet and extension to get in there. But yeah, we're gonna get all 5 of them started, and then we'll tighten up a little bit. But not all the way, because we want to pull down on the hardtop before we really crank it in. So that is all 5 installed. As you can see, the bottom bolts are a little loose because it got sucked in, so we're just hand tightening them. Now we're going to move on to the driver's side. All right, so the driver's side, same exercise. We're going to loosen the old bolts out. I don't know where I put my... You can see, you might be able to see, this one's pretty eaten up, so... all the old hardware, the threads are fine. Some of the heads are not, so we're gonna just separate that. That way we don't have any sort of issue with putting the wrong hardware back. Now this one's a T27. Like I said, some of the old stuff was just mix match, so it wasn't the correct hardware. So gonna leave that just a little loose. I'm gonna get my T27. Yep. All right. It may not be the last one, so we're gonna leave that T27 out. All right. Now this one's the most extreme example of just a nasty part. So you can see it's all chewed up. I don't know what was going on with this, but it looks pretty bad. So happy to have the new one. We'll start the first bolt, and then we'll go ahead and get the rest of the hardware. Now I'm not tightening these super tight because, like I said, we're gonna get the hardtop. As you can see, just by me pulling it, how much flex there is. So basically, I'm gonna want to pull down, and that way it has the maximum, you know, kind of tightness that you can get. And you can see with these a little loose, loosen a little bit more. You can see how much movement there is. So we're just kind of hand tightening them up. Yeah, all right. So now that the fronts are done, we're gonna go ahead and move to the back. Now, like I said, we're gonna do the passenger seat first. So as you can see, I moved the passenger seat all the way up. We're going to go ahead and use our handy little mini ratchet. Apparently, oh, I forgot. Because of the hodgepodge mix of hardware, these are actually Allen keys. So we're not going to be able to get it with that Torx. We'll go ahead and take these off. This one might be a 30. So these happen to be a 5 Allen. Like I said, this is probably not typical, so don't expect yours to have all these weird bolts. Mine just happens to have that because of the, well, hardware was available. Now, if you have seats that do not have rails or sliders or anything like that, you will probably have to remove them just because it is difficult to get to these properly with the seats in their back position. Drop that. And the last one is a T30 with a really eaten up head. that is removed. So the new right rear, as you can see, lines up pretty well. See a lot of flex there. So we're going to install one of the bigger bolts by hand. And we're going to use the same principle. Start all the bolts by hand and then start tightening things up. This one wants to fight me. That may have been too tight. So now you can see what happens. If you tighten the bolt too tight, it might fight other bolts getting in. As you can see, this has a lot of movement. So this one, what we're going to do is tighten these middle ones first. Then I'm going to tighten the top one. Then I'm going to hand tighten the bottom ones. All right, finally the last one, behind the driver's seat. All right, so the last one we have is the driver's side, and the driver's seat on this car doesn't move up very well, so I'm doing the best I can, but the camera angle should show everything that I have to do. I'm gonna go ahead and do this from the outside of the car. I believe these are also Allen heads, correct. I'm just gonna take those all the way out. might be a combination of 30s. Let's see. That's definitely a 27. All right, so two 27s and a 30. All right, we may have lost a little footage there, but I will recap what I did on the driver's side when tightening this. So basically we're going to tighten these three first while pushing this way on the hardtop to make sure it's secure on that seal, and then we're going to pull down on the hardtop and then tighten these two. Alright, so I'm pulling down. And then we're just going to check to make sure that these didn't get loose. Okay, rear is done. All right, now that we're in the front, we're going to tighten these two first, and that secures the bracket to the body. And then we're going to pull down on the hardtop and tighten these up until they're tight. So we're going to use our T40. Might be easier if I was on the passenger side. Okay, I'm actually going to go over to the passenger side to tighten them, but I'll get these at least started. Alright, so I'm going to start with this one. As I'm pulling down on the hardtop, I'm just going to tighten this one tight. And the rest of them should just be pretty tight. Okay, that's that side. Now all we have is the driver's side left. So again, we're going to tighten these up all the way, and then we'll tighten these three as we pull down on the hardtop. Golly. That could be how your paint gets chipped. Okay, that's it, all done. So yeah, that's gonna do it for us today. What we did was we installed the Jass Performance hardtop security brackets and hardware. Remember, they are different part numbers. Check the website. I'll drop the link below to the hardware kits. There's a front, there's a rear, and then there's security hardware. They also have a non-security hardware that's just basic Torx, and so you can do that as well. You can mix and match, as they say, because you'll still have the security part of it. I just opted to get full security because I just wanted to do it all with the same thing, same hardware all around. So yeah, as you can tell, I'm a little worn out. Crawling in and out of the car, doing all that stuff was quite a chore. No airflow, hot in Texas, all that kind of stuff. So I'm a little sweaty, but got it done. So happy to have showcased this for y'all. Apologize if there was any missing footage. I didn't notice that my camera had turned off until I was already done with the driver's rear. So passenger rear, almost the exact same outside of, where you're pulling it and, moving the driver and passenger seat. It is easier if you don't have the seats installed. As you can see, I had to fight around the seats, but I didn't feel like uninstalling mine because I do have sliders. If I had no sliders and they were just a fixed position, then you might have to remove them in order to do this. Your car may vary. If you have stock seats, you could tilt them forward. So probably not an issue. But yeah, that's going to do it for me today. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for hanging out. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed, if you're enjoying the content. Like the video if you did like it, and leave a comment below if this helped out. All right, everybody. See you in the next video.